Now that we have our multiband compressor programmed, let's go ahead and program our equalizer, or the shiny part of the mastering process. So I'm going to unbypass the graphic equalizer and then hit the E to get the control panel of the 30-band graphic equalizer open. And let's go ahead and press play and take a listen to what sort of frequencies or tonal control we might want to add to this project. I'm going to rewind to the beginning again. Okay, now I really like what the multiband compressor is doing, but as I mentioned in the last video, the hi-hats and the other cymbals are kind of crispy. It's a little bit more than I want to hear, but I like that rich bandwidth of the high mid-range frequencies where the stick is and where the snappy parts of the snare drum and tom-toms are, so I don't want to diminish that wide frequency band, so I'm going to use this 30-band graphic equalizer to find some of those frequencies and de-emphasize them. So let's find out where those hi-hat cymbals and other cymbals are. And the way to do this is to start turning up these faders until we hear where those frequencies are. You can hear that that's mostly mid-range where the stick is. So I'm going to drop that back down to 0. Still haven't found them yet. So cymbals are going to be much higher. Let's start listening at around 5 kilohertz. Okay, we're hearing some there. Ah, now we start to find the hi-hats. So let's roll down. I really started to hear those hi-hats around this frequency band. I still want to hear them, I just don't want them as loud. Let's bypass the effect and hear what it sounded like before. And after. Actually, I think I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to pull some of these frequencies down. Now, here comes a part of the project where there are a whole bunch of cymbals. Let's listen before. Hear how much louder the cymbals are? So just that slight move on the graphic equalizer is enough to control those cymbals so that they don't get an overly loud amount of cymbal hits. So let's listen to what else we might want to add or subtract with the graphic equalizer. And I'm actually going to fast forward here just a little bit because I want to get to a part of the song where it's not just a bass solo. It's my bass solo, I shouldn't worry so much about it, but I do want to see really what's happening in the majority of the song, so I'm going to be watching my multi-scope to see what sort of frequencies there might be too many of, and where there might be or where there might not be enough. Now, as soon as that stick solo started, we're starting to see more of that mid-range band. But I'm still a little bit worried about that low mid frequency. Sounds pretty good. Let's start to turn up some of those low frequencies, or the low mid frequencies, starting at around 800 hertz. You can hear there's quite a bit of musical energy in that band. So what I'm going to do is bring that band up a little bit and the other sliders around it. Kind of hear a little bit too much of that one now. Also, I'm going to drop a little bit of 250 hertz out. And then perhaps bring up a little bit of the 100 hertz and the 125 and then the 80 hertz below that. And that's starting to sound a little bit mid-rangey now. What I'm going to do is drop down those mid-range frequencies a little bit more. Now let's listen to the before and the after. That's before. After. Before. And after. So I've added a little tiny bit of low end and dished out some of the low mids, added some of the high mids, and also dipped out a little bit of the extreme high frequencies where the cymbals are. So using that graphic equalizer has allowed me to go in and smooth out the frequency response across the entire spectrum. And now let's talk about the next plugin that we want to use, which is the maximizer.